Welcome to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast, brought to you by Dietz Man Productions.
And you go to college and you're on this all-star team. And so I would tell myself that really don't listen to that voice inside your head that tells you you're not good enough. And probably the other thing I would tell myself is get more sleep.
Not everyone's gonna like you, but try to make them want you. Still working on that one.
People say, oh, I'm not going to have kids yet because it's not the right time, or I'm not going to get married yet because it's not the right time. Well, if you keep moving the goalposts in life, it's never going to be the right time. So enjoy your life.
Do what you love for a living. Figure out a way to make that work. Don't do something because it's what you're supposed to do or because it's going to be the most fun. You do something that makes you happy.
Take going to Landers for lunch. Sitting around Jeff Blair's Mustang 2 and listening to his tape of Creek Wall.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Welcome back to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. And today I have with me Wildcatter Tracy Robinett. Tracy, what's going on, man?
Wildcatter, I like that. Never been called a Wildcatter. I appreciate it, Scott. You accommodated me here on Saturday morning, and I know you've got better things to do on your weekends other than interview me, but I appreciate it. And as I said a few minutes ago, thanks for doing this. It's been a fantastic thing for our class. Appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. Like I said, told one person, it's kind of like a love letter to the class of 82. It's just, getting everybody together and hearing different stories and whatnot. It's been a lot of fun. And the guests have been very open, vulnerable. They're funny. We've had people cry and laugh. And I mean, there's been a lot that's happened in the last 39 years. One thing I've found out through this project is there's a lot, everybody has gone through something, right. When we were 10 years out on our 10-year reunion, we really hadn't experienced life too much. We thought we had. Now we're old hands at this. And one thing I've come to discover is that everybody's had, life has just happened, and I'm just not as cool as I thought I was in high school. That's bottom line.
Right.
Of course, I never thought
life can be humbling for sure.
Well, life can be humbling. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's right.
So what's been going on with you for the last 39 years? Give us a little not preview. Give us a rundown in 2 minutes. 2
minutes. Okay. I'm on the clock.
And go.
So a week after we graduated from high school, Mark Troxel and I went to Colorado and worked on a framing crew together. That was an experience. And then he and I ended up rooming together at OU. And our suite mates were fellow Wildcats, Kent Hudson and Chris Zervis.
Oh, okay.
So I saw a lot of those guys in college. That we were in the same fraternity house. And I graduated on time, believe it or not, with a business finance degree. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I interviewed with some stock brokerage firms and some banks and some insurance companies. I thought about going to grad school, and I just kind of fell into law school. My dad's a lawyer, still practicing in Bartlesville, in fact. And I ended up going to the University of Tulsa College of Law, and I have not left Tulsa since 1989 or since 1986. I've lived in Tulsa, so I haven't gone very far. I've only gone 50 miles.
Which is the last interview I did last one I posted was with Christine Svensson. She was in Stavanger, Norway. I think she was like 4,000 miles away. So you might win the shortest interview.
Yeah, I'm just down the road.
Just down the road.
So since graduating from law school, all I've done with my career is practice law. I've got a small firm with 7 lawyers in it, and we mainly do business litigation, business transactions. And
so you're the founder of the Robinett Swartz and Aycock law firm in Tulsa there.
Yes, sir. I'm the old guy here, and I hear about that every day. But yeah, it's a demanding job. It takes a lot of hours. So a lot of my time is spent in this office right here, looking down Boston Avenue, looking at the Mid-Continent building. So
Yeah.
this is my den where I spend most of my time, unfortunately.
Civil litigation, if you were to explain that to someone, I guess this is solving problems between individuals, like marriage or tenant, landlord.
Yeah. One of my partners does divorce work. I stay away from that completely. I don't do any criminal work. So civil means non-criminal work, basically.
Yeah.
My bread and butter is representing businesses like banks, restaurants. I represent a lot of contractors, developers. You mentioned landlord tenant. I represent the building owners here in downtown Tulsa. I represent a lot of supply companies in the construction industry. That's probably what I do the most. Probably 40 to 50% of my time is representing suppliers, because they're always in need of counsel.
Right. So you graduated from TU Law School, 89. And
Yes,
did you start right out? Did you start your firm right out of the gate there, or?
I went and worked for a firm, and then I jumped over to another firm, and then over a series of years, those partners left and did different things, and I ended up just kind of inheriting their firm, and then I built my own, and that was back in '94, I think. So I've been the senior partner of my own firm since 1994. So about 5 years out, that's when this all began.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Family, any update on any Robinetts around, or?
Yeah, I married a girl from Okmulgee named Susan. We got married in 1995, and we have two girls, Meg and Addie. And
Cool.
Addie's down in Dallas working at a hospital as a nurse, and Meg is still in school, University of Arkansas. But yeah, beautiful girls, and that's one of my greatest accomplishments is
Well, that's what
having a family.
That's what I was going to ask you. Now I can go ahead and scratch that one off the list here. What's been your greatest accomplishment? So
Oh, that has to be number one. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that. Back in high school, how were you academically?
I was good in some things and not so good in some things. If it involved geometry or calculus or algebra, I wasn't that hot. I was more of a English literature, American literature writer. Anything other than math, I was a decent student, but the math classes brought me down a little bit. I've never been good in math.
Which teacher do you think had the most influence on you in high school, senior year?
Well, I always gravitated towards those teachers in the classes that I liked, like English and literature. So who would that have been? Mrs. Purdue, and was it Mr. Luttrell? And when we were juniors, Mrs. Hodges, Mrs. Smith. I know her name's been mentioned a lot during this, during your podcast. But you know, the staff member I probably spent the most time around was, and I don't know, I can't remember what he taught. Maybe business, was Greg Boer, Coach Boer.
Oh yeah.
Coach Boer coached all of the sports that I played in. He coached football, he coached basketball, he coached tennis, and in the spring we went everywhere together. The tennis team traveled, and we were constantly with Coach Boer. So I by far I spent out of all the staff members, I spent the most time with Coach Boer. And we were
cool.
pretty tight. Yeah, we were pretty tight.
You mentioned the sports, so you were in tennis. You, Zervis, and David Hayden, and Fletch.
Yeah, Brett Fletcher. Yeah, Fletcher was my longtime doubles partner.
Oh yeah. And then football, and then what was basketball too?
Yeah, I played 1 year of basketball my sophomore year and quit. I wish I wouldn't have, but played all 3 years in football and tennis my whole career. So football and tennis is where I ended up my senior year.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
We had a lot of fun. Lots of fun.
What was so fun about it?
Oh gosh, just competing and being with your buddies, and you know, being on a team with friends is it's a great experience.
So are there any kind of funny stories you can share that you can tell that Wildcatter, the audience might enjoy hearing or remembering once you start talking about it? Is there any funny stories from those teams or that time?
Well, I think a fan favorite is the Grease Pigs. Sure, everybody knows about that.
Yeah. Did you have anything to do with that?
Oh yeah, I was right in the middle of it. So I think Jeff Harris spearheaded it, but he found a dozen baby pigs, and I think 12 to 15 of us went in on this, and we pitched in money, and we went out. I think it was on Yoakum's Road out south of Bartlesville, and we picked up these pigs. We greased them down. I mean, and the thinking is we're going to let these pigs go right when the bell sounds, when school is ending, and the pigs are going to go nuts. They're going to run all over the school, right?
Right.
So word got out, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but they posted teachers at almost every door to guard us from bringing the pigs in. But we found one door that wasn't being guarded. So in we go with all the pigs. The bell goes off. Everybody's in the hall, and we let the pigs out of their sacks, and they all just stand there. They don't move. And they made a big mess in the hall, and so it was a disaster. And we didn't get all the pigs back. Some of the coaches stole the pigs, so we only got to get our money back on like half the pigs. So we lost a lot of money on the deal. And Pinnell called us all into his office, and he said, "I am not giving you diplomas. You're not graduating until you guys get a mop bucket and brooms, and you go out there and sweep up those halls where those pigs made a mess." And we cleaned those halls up for hours while he stood there and watched us. So it was a great idea. It just wasn't executed very well.
Yeah, who would have thought the pigs would just stand there and look around?
Yeah, they just froze. Every single one of them froze.
Oh my gosh.
So that was our senior prank.
What was your greatest concern in high school when you look back on your senior year? You know, we all put on a good show, like we thought we knew what we were doing, but I think all of us were. Well, I don't know. Maybe you weren't. What was your greatest fear or your biggest concern in high school?
Gosh, I don't know if I had any. It just seemed like such a carefree time. I think I was just clueless as to what laid ahead of me. I mean, I was so excited about going to OU. You know, I was destined to go to OU from when I was a kid. I mean, that's where I was going to go. I didn't look at any other college. It was tunnel vision. And I think I was just so excited to get out of Bartlesville and down to Norman to go to school. I don't really remember having any concerns, Scott. I'm sure I did, but it just seemed like a carefree, fun 3 years of my life. It really did.
Who was in your squad? Who was the gang? Who was in your gang?
I kind of pride myself, and I'm still like this. I think I was like this in college. I like to have a lot of friends. I like to. I don't really like to be in a clique. I like to feel like I'm friends with everybody. So I had a lot of friends, but you know, I went to Limestone, and so that was my little micro society for the first 6 years of school, right?
Right.
You know, everybody experienced that. McKinley, Wayside, Oak Park, Garfield. But so in the beginning, it was Brett Fletcher and Lauren Johnson and Dwight Wessner and Keith Clark and John Dunaway and James Delaloy and Steve Kramer, Randy Savage. And the girls were Kim Harrison and Lori List and Laura Ayers. And but then we all merged, right? We all got to Central Junior High School in 7th grade, and everybody was there. And I knew some of the guys from athletics. I didn't know any of the girls, so that was an eye opener. And you know, that's when it all began. So junior and high school kind of blend together in my mind. They probably do for you too.
Yeah.
6 straight years, same people. And there really wasn't a difference other than we moved buildings. But you know, I became close with Troxel, and I was always good friends with Zervis and Pasquale and Brewer and Tunin, and yeah, there's a whole host of them. But we had a great time. Bishop. It was a fun experience given all the friends that I had.
Yeah,
we just had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs.
So in high school, you said you know, you didn't know a lot of the girls at first or in junior high. The girls who were in high school, did you go to the prom or?
I went to. I think we were just allowed to go our junior and senior year, if I'm correct. My junior year, I was dating a girl from Sooner, which wasn't very popular, but her name was Stacy Sauber. So we went to the College High prom and the Sooner prom the same night. I was not very well received at the Sooner prom, but yeah, those guys did not like me dating her at all. In fact, I got my tires slashed over her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was their
You're welcome.
warning to me. Don't date our girls. We're going to slash your tires. They did that in my driveway one night.
Thank you for listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. And we'll be right back after this.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for watching, listening to this episode of the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. I'll invite you, if you like what you see here on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Also with the podcast on Spotify or iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. Subscribe, like, share, leave a review. That would be a great help too. Pop's Daylight Donuts, man, they've got the best tasting donuts, sausage wraps, pastries in Northeast Oklahoma. And also, if you'll tell the staff there, hey, Scott Townsend said to give me a large spicy pig, they'll give you a free large spicy sausage wrap. But you have to tell them Scott Townsend sent you. So tell them, hey, Scott Townsend told me to tell you to give me a large spicy pig. So there's the offer. There's the call to action. So go to Pop's Daylight Donuts. Say hi to Mark for me. And yeah, go to Pop's Daylight Donuts and get you some.
And then at my senior year, I went with an underclassman, Karen Diamond. She was a junior.
Oh, I remember Karen Diamond. Yeah. Cars, when you were in high school, what car did you drive?
Well,
I think I remember this, but go ahead. Here, I'm gonna write it down so just to prove. Okay, what was it?
One of the coolest things my dad ever did for me. Well, first, when I turned 14, I wanted a motorcycle, and even though my dad had a motorcycle,
yeah,
he knew what a disaster that would be. And
yeah,
I remember he gave me this lecture, and he said, "Look, if you promise me that you'll get off this motorcycle thing, I'll buy you a car when you're 16." And I said, all right. So I agreed to it reluctantly. And one of the coolest things he's ever done for me is he surprised me with a white Renegade Jeep, blue top, 1979, 3-speed standard. Yeah, Jeep. Yeah, and it was fun. I had a lot of fun in that Jeep in high school.
That was really cool. I mean, it
was.
So do you ever see any of the gang from high school these days?
You know, I mentioned before we got going here that I see Scott Jansen once a week in Tulsa somewhere. It's the strangest thing. He and I live, we don't work together. We don't work near each other, but we live a couple of streets apart, and apparently we go to the same places. I mean, I see him once a week. We laugh about it. I saw him last weekend. Ken Hudson, I see quite a bit. Troxel every once in a while. Brewer. Matt Newman has done a phenomenal job with a crew getting us all together for lunch about once a year. And it's been Brewer and Hudson and Zervis and Moreland, and Butch Boland's joined us a couple of times. Scott Crawley's joined us a couple of times. Gordy Falcons. And Matt's done a great job keeping us together. We didn't do that during COVID, but
right.
We plan to get together. Phil Pasqua is coming to town to see his family in December, and we're going to try to get together when Phil's here. I haven't seen Phil in forever.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen him in 39 years. I don't think.
But there's not a lot of us living in Tulsa. Charlene Reed, she works for a law firm, so I cross paths with her on occasion. But I think I've pretty much named the Tulsa people. Everybody's spread out all over the country, I think.
Right.
James, I talked to James Jones quite a bit. He's there in Bartlesville. I'm sure you see him. Donnie.
James Dennison, he's here.
Dennison, haven't talked to Dennison in a while, but
Jack
he was a good buddy. He was a good buddy of mine in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Love Dennison.
So you went to the 30-year reunion.
I did.
I mean, how many reunions have you been to?
I've been to all of them.
Have you? Okay.
I was in charge of the first one, which was a blast. And I think I was involved with the second one, but I wasn't involved in planning the third one. I'd love to help on this upcoming one.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that as well. The 30-year reunion, what was from the 10-year reunion to the 30-year reunion? I'm sure there was a big difference in maybe attitudes or personalities, or is there that big a change? I wasn't there, so I don't know. How's the 10-year different than the 30-year in general?
Wow. The 10-year reunion was kind of a party. In fact, I remember one night at Bishop's house, we watched the sun come up. I think on Saturday morning, we stayed up all night, and nobody was married. A few were, but not that many people were married. It was just like an extension of high school, really.
Yeah.
Everybody looked the same. Everybody was kind of starting their careers. Everybody was in the same boat. The interesting thing about the 20-year reunion was somebody would walk up to you and you wouldn't recognize them, but you would recognize their voice. And it's strange when you talk to somebody from your past, 2 minutes into the conversation, it's like you're back in high school again. After you figure out who they are, you're like, oh yeah. And I kind of experienced that same thing with my 30-year reunion too.
Yeah.
But it's so fun to reconnect. I can't wait to do the 40th. See
what gray hair on the 40th.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's snow on the roof, but
at least you have hair. There's some that don't.
Yeah. You know, in the movie Jaws, we were talking about there's one scene where they're sitting around the table at night, and Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss and I can't remember another guy. Anyway, they're telling stories and they start comparing scars and telling, you know, have you seen this one? Oh yeah, well look at this one. Oh yeah, well look at that. You know, are there any scars that you can talk about that you've acquired the last 39 years? That are kind of not a badge of honor, but something that you know, an adversity or something that you came up against that you know, you overcame, or something that a scar.
Right.
I don't know how to ask that question really.
Right.
It's just,
I think just generally, I mean, it's tough. There's pressure being the head of a household and supporting a family. And so you come to the office and you, in my case, battle other lawyers all day. And then you've got clients to please, and you hope that those clients pay you, and you hope that you meet overhead, and you hope you're able to pay all your people. And you know, I've got 14 people here that we've got to meet payroll every 2 weeks. So it's that pressure, that pressure of keeping your head above water, and knowing that. I mean, last year during COVID, that was a wake up call. I had several sleepless nights right at the tail end of February, thinking, is Governor Stitt going to lock down the state where we can't even go into our office? How are we going to pay ourselves?
right.
Furlough all of our employees. I was scared to death. I really was, and it worked out fine. I mean, we ended up having a great year, and I think a lot of other people did too. I mean, the restaurant suffered, obviously, but
Right.
those people came out of that pretty well, surprisingly. So I mean, that was a wake up call, because you never know when everything's just going to quit spinning, right? And
Yeah.
you just take it for granted sometimes. But I try not to take the you know, my accomplishments in life for granted. I mean, it's just day to day, and but I think that's the biggest scar, if you will, is just that everyday grind of trying to support your family, trying to keep clients happy, trying to keep your employees happy.
Right.
And then, you know, as a lawyer, it's kind of a game within a game. I mean, you're dealing with you're dealing with clients, and you're dealing with opposing counsel and litigation, and there's a lot of pressure. I'm used to it after 30 something years, but there's pressure there.
Do you, after COVID, did it change your perception of how to do business? I mean, has it altered the way you do business since, you know, since COVID? I mean, do you guys do things different now because of that time?
Yeah, it really impacted us from a litigation standpoint. They basically closed the courthouse down for like 6 months, and so all trials So you've got a lot of momentum going in a case, for instance, and suddenly you can't try the case for 2 years, and it kills your momentum. And
Yeah.
now they're back in court and they're trying cases, but the criminal cases get first priority, and then the civil cases come second. So, but specifically, we did a lot of Zoom depositions and a lot of Zoom hearings, which I hated. I found that I'm a lot more persuasive in person than I am on a camera, because I was losing hearings when I was arguing to a camera and to a judge on a video. Whereas when I'm in person, I think I'm a little more persuasive. So I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've slowly climbed out of that, and most everything's in person now.
That's good.
Yeah, I hated I did a 3-day arbitration where we had to wear a mask 8 hours a day in a conference room. I mean, that was rough. So the mask thing was
was brutal. Yeah,
brutal, and in the courtroom sometimes.
Yeah, gosh, I hate that.
Yeah, and we, right in the thick of COVID, we pretty much emptied out our office and let everybody go home and work from home. I never missed a day, but there's plenty of room up here where we can distance from one another.
Yeah.
It was a very strange time. I'm glad it's almost over.
Right.
For sure.
Speaking of stress and those kind of stressors in life, what do you do to relieve the stress? What do you do for recreation? What do you do for fun?
Well, I still play a little bit of tennis, but I'd say my biggest passion is golf. I play a lot of golf.
Oh yeah.
All my friends play golf, and we try to play once or twice a week when the weather's warm, and we go on a lot of golf trips together, and it's a great social activity.
Right.
And met a lot of people playing golf, and it's good for business. And so that's probably what I do the most. I hang out with my family a lot. We like to travel when I take time off. I run almost every day.
That's good.
Stay in shape. Yeah, run downtown. But other than that, yeah, family, travel, golf, tennis.
That's good.
That's what I do in my spare time.
What was life like growing up in Bartlesville?
What was life like?
What was it like growing up?
I think the further I get away from that, the more I appreciate the town that we grew up in. I mean, I think we all, when we were there, we probably thought it was too small. We probably thought it was boring, but what a place. And the fact that we were even further divided into, we were divided into 2 schools. So we were in our little micro society at Central Junior High School and College High School, and then Madison and Sooner. So it made it had a more small town feel than probably what it does now, since we were divided. But what a cool place, and what a cool era that we grew up in. It really was. I mean, I think Bartlesville's changed a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I know it's ideal. It's still idyllic to me. It's just, people say, do you want to move from Bartlesville, go somewhere else? And I don't. I mean, it's just, it's like Mayberry still to me,
Yeah, I don't think we realized, and you never do, right? But I don't think we realized as kids what we had at the time. I mean, it was just it was a perfect environment. It really was. I mean, it was an eye opener getting down to Norman and meeting the kids from Oklahoma City and Dallas. I mean, they just grew up in completely different environments than we did.
Right. Yeah. I remember going to KU, experiencing the same thing.
Yeah.
KU,
and we were isolated. We weren't like a suburb of Oklahoma City or suburb of Tulsa. We weren't a Broken Arrow. I mean, we were really isolated up there.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you could come to Tulsa on occasion and go to the big city, so to speak, but we were up there in the middle of nowhere, and I just thought it was a fantastic experience.
What was the biggest trouble you got into in high school or school?
Well, the pig incident didn't go over very well. I stayed out of trouble, and my parents weren't very rigid, but they certainly had their boundaries. And I got to where I knew where that boundary was. Like, I didn't have a curfew, but I knew about what time I needed to be home to keep them from being upset with me.
Right.
I was able to skate through a lot of potential problems. I've always been pretty good at that. So I don't think I ever got into major trouble.
Well, it's good.
Yeah.
Not that we want you to be in trouble, but it seems like every kid gets into some kind of trouble, you know. From
Yeah,
time to time.
I'm a rule follower. I mean, I got a few swats in grade school for sure, and in junior high school, but I don't think I got into any major trouble in high school that I can think of.
Mrs. Lovejoy in the 3rd grade, she lit me up, with the board. Man, I'll never forget that as long as I live. I mean,
it was the last fun watching somebody else get paddled. I mean, that was fantastic. And it seems like, weren't you in band, Scott?
Yeah.
You're a trumpet player, right?
Yeah, so were you, right?
Yeah, and it seems like Mr. Tansey.
Yeah,
you know, that was a big crowd to try to control, and the drummers were always Scott Brown and Dunaway, and those guys were always acting up, and somebody would always push him to the edge, and it seems like there was a paddling nearly every day, and we'd all get real quiet. He'd go out in the hall and would listen and hear the slap. It was fantastic.
I was thinking about, I was going to ask you the question about music, because it seems like, you were playing trumpet, and were you like first chair, second chair, or something like that?
Yeah, it seems like Tom Hancock. Seems like Tom Hancock was always first chair, but Lisa Hutchins was really good. It seems like I was always battling for second, like everything else in life.
Well, I was like 6th or 7th chair. I mean, that was just par for the course.
Yeah, but Tom, it seems like Tom was he was the man.
Okay.
He was a really good trumpet player. Now, I don't know what happened to Tom. Did he, you know where he lives by chance?
No, I haven't even thought of that name until you just mentioned it. Chris Autry, he was a trumpet player too. I think.
Yes. But I had to, I did not play in high school. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I played football.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't march on the field and play football at the same time. So I think I discontinued after 9th grade, but good memories in that band room. That was, that was a lot of fun.
Now that you mentioned all of that, now I'm remembering, I'm going back in time here. Yeah. Thinking about all that stuff going on.
One of my vivid memories of band was, and I know you were there with me, but we played it was one of the last things we did in 9th grade. We played in the Dewey Christmas Parade.
Yep.
And it was like early December, Saturday morning, about 8, and it was the coldest morning. And if you're a trumpet player,
your lips are frozen.
5 degrees. It was brutal. It was one of those blue sky days, no wind, but so cold.
Yep, I remember that
long
so
johns
well.
On and gloves, and that's I have a vivid memory of that.
I hadn't thought about that for years until you just brought that up. Yeah, I do remember that though.
Yeah, dodging the horse manure in our white shoes. Remember that?
I don't know how Tansey did it. I don't know how he kept well, I guess that's how he did it. He just kept swatting kids into
Kermit Tansey, greatest name ever.
Yeah. And then was Mr. French after that? Or
and I didn't have him, but I think that's correct.
Yeah. I didn't do band in high school either. If there was so you're at graduate, I ask everybody this, and I'll wrap it up with this last question. Unless there's something else you want to talk about or something you want to bring up that
hey, I'll talk all day.
If there was you're at the graduation and 18-year-old Tracy Robinett is walking across the graduation platform, knowing what you know now, what would you tell? You walk up to 18-year-old Tracy Robinett and say, what's your advice to your 18-year-old self?
First, get your hair cut. Quit parting your hair in the middle. Get a real hairdo. College in particular, I had a little too much fun in college. I wish I would have been a little more serious. I probably would have told myself to get my act together and bear down on and concentrate more on academics in college. It would have opened more doors. I mean, it all worked out, but I kind of walked that line where I had a lot of fun, but I got my academics. I fulfilled my academic obligations, but I also had a lot of fun in college. But I should have focused a little bit more on school.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just have fun, seize the moment. And I don't think I would change a whole lot. Everything's worked out great. I love Tulsa. It was a fantastic place to raise my kids and to send them to school. And OU was a fantastic experience. And my career's been enjoyable. It takes too much time, too many hours, but it's been good to me.
Yeah, when I was in college, I was the same way. Just had a tremendous amount of fun at OSU. Too much fun at OSU. Yeah,
Right.
I went through. It took me like 4 terms to get through college. It was the Ford, Carter, Reagan, and Bush terms. But yeah, I was the third of the class that made the top 2/3 possible. So yeah.
Well, but through all my socializing at OU, I came out with lifelong friends. I mean, I still have friends that are on text chains that we text each other every day. So I made lifelong friends in college, and I'm glad I didn't just go and study and stay in my room the whole time. I mean, there's something to that. And a lot of those college relationships have generated business for me. So yeah, I mean, that's important that you keep connected with people. Yeah, that's true. So, I can say the same thing. Yeah, there was a lot of friends I made. I wouldn't say that we contact each other every day, but birthdays and holidays and Christmas card list and all that stuff. Yeah, we definitely stay in touch, and that was. So cell phones and texting has certainly kept revived a lot of relationships for sure. It's fantastic. And that was one thing I was thinking about the other day, was this whole project of interviewing you and everybody else has made me realize that I was talking to Keith Clark, that's who it was. And he told me, he said, after listening to everybody's interviews, I feel like I could be their friends now. And I also feel like I've kind of wasted the last 39 years not being friends with them, but now them. So that's, on the one hand, it's a really fun project. On the other hand, it's like, I feel like, wow, I missed out on a lot of friendships in the last 39 years. Just, everybody gets busy. Yeah. I would love to see Keith again. I mean, I met him in first grade when we went to Limestone together, then junior high school and in high school. And we knew each other forever, but I haven't seen or talked to him in a long time. I hope he's at the reunion. Yeah, I'm sure he will be. He's in Bartlesville, right? Yeah. He's with Phillips, been there 39 years. And I think he's close to retiring now. David Neer, I think he's retiring as a fire chief or station chief or something like that. Wow. I need to get him on, but he's a tough one. I'll have to keep working on him. But anyway. Well, Tracy, anything else? Any last words to the Wildcats out there listening, watching? I hope you interview everybody, and I hope I get a chance to watch all the interviews. I told you earlier, I've watched about 5 minutes of several, and I always get interrupted and I can't finish it because they're fairly long, but I need to isolate myself and watch them. But the parts that I've seen have been very entertaining. Good. Very entertaining. Glad. Yeah, and we appreciate you doing this. Yeah, no problem. And like I was telling you earlier, for those of you watching, listening, you can watch it on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. You can also listen to these interviews on iTunes and Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's a good commute, something to do while you commute or run or treadmill or whatever you're doing, Yeah. So, absolutely. Well, Tracy, once again, thanks for your time. Appreciate you visiting with us and kind of giving us the lowdown on what Robinett's been up to. You're welcome. Thank you. So for Tracy Robinett, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for watching, listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
The Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast is a Deep Soul Man production. For more episodes, visit the Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.